We're starting 2 minutes early, but it looks like everyone is here. I'd like to first see if I could introduce on the screen our clients. And if you could just raise your hand when, if you can hear me, and smile. Can you hear what I'm saying? Okay, we're in touch. I'd like to first introduce Gabby's mother, Nicole, if she'd raise her hand. I think everyone knows you. She's smiling. And her husband, Jim Smith, down in the corner there. And then I'd like to introduce Gabby's father, Joe. He's right there with his wife, Tara. And thank you for being with us this morning at this important juncture in the Petito case. I am Jim McConkey of Parker and McConkey. This is Brian Stewart and Steve Jensen from Parker and McConkey, and Brad Parker from Parker and McConkey. And this case is also being represented by Zimmerman Boer. Parker and McConkey is basically a litigation law firm. Zimmerman Boer specializes in appellate work, and we're grateful for their help and assistance. What I'd like to do this morning is I'll make a very brief statement, but and then we'll have a 10-minute question and answer period for Brian Stewart. And he can bring you up to date on the legal process and what we're doing. We're filing this morning what's known as a notice of intent, and Brian will address that and the legal implications. And then we'll give you 10 minutes with the step-parents of Gabby Petito. I've asked them not to comment on specific evidence, but you are free to ask questions, and they're free to comment on why they're bringing this lawsuit and what their feelings are. Let me begin with just a brief opening statement to set the stage. Gabby Petito's parents have asked the law firms of Parker and McConkey and Zimmerman Boer to represent them in a lawsuit against the Moab police for their negligent failure to first understand the law and enforce it, and second, for the wrongful death of their daughter. In this regard, this morning we have filed a notice of claim, which is the first step in initiating future litigation. Gabby's parents are bringing this lawsuit to honor Gabby's legacy by working to save the lives of victims of domestic violence throughout the United States and the world. This lawsuit is only one part of a broader effort to raise awareness of intimate partner violence and its potential dangers. They have set up the Gabby Petito Foundation. This foundation has already donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to groups focusing on intimate and domestic violence, including a $100,000 donation last week to the National Domestic Violence Hotline, which I'm sure you're aware of. They hope their efforts to help will save lives and give meaning to the senseless, avoidable, and tragic murder of their daughter. Brian?
Good morning, and thank you for being here. As my partner Jim said, my name is Brian Stewart, and I'm grateful to be with you today and grateful for your attention to this important case. I will just say that at the outset that the purpose of this lawsuit is just one part of the family's broader effort to raise awareness and education to protect victims of domestic violence, and to help make sure that our governmental institutions are held to account and that they are given the resources and training that they need to do their jobs in the effective way that they would want to, and to do it in a way that protects the most vulnerable members of our society and will prevent tragedies such as this one from happening again. Our purpose in filing the lawsuit, and the family wants to be clear about this, is not to punish individual officers, but is to honor the efforts of dedicated police officers. And while it is tough to do, we feel a responsibility to support them by demanding that changes needed to help them do their job better will be accomplished. We believe that the only effective way to correct these problems is to hold our institutions accountable for their failures, including in law enforcement. But as we said, this is just part of a larger effort to help other people and other victims of domestic violence understand that there are resources and that there are helps available, and that they can rely on those and rely on the response of law enforcement. The family will tell you, but that they, throughout this last year, have been received many messages from victims of domestic violence who have told their stories of how they were inspired to get out of dangerous situations and to protect themselves and to seek out resources. And again, while it is difficult to do these things for the family, they feel a responsibility to honor Gabby's legacy by doing this work. And now I'll take any questions you may have about, I guess, what we're doing today. If you have any questions about the purpose of the lawsuit or the procedure of the law.
Why don't these officers qualify for governmental immunity under Utah law?
There is a governmental immunity statute in Utah, and we believe that these officers were negligent, and that their negligence contributed to the cause of Gabby's death. And we believe that the law in Utah there's some conflict in terms of the governmental immunity statute and the Utah Constitution's protection of the right to bring causes of action for wrongful death. The Utah Constitution says that right shall not be infringed, and that is the supreme law on the subject in Utah. Yes?
When you say they were negligent, can you be more specific in terms of what they did? I thought they separated them, talked to them, they got each other's side story, and then the police made the judgment call. What did they do wrong?
Well, I again don't want to get into specifics of what happened that day. There's a lot of information that has been made available, but there's much information that is not yet available publicly. But I will say that we do agree with the findings of the investigative report that the officers failed to recognize the serious danger that she was in and failed to investigate fully and properly. They did not have the training that they needed to recognize the clear signs that were evident that morning, that Gabby was a victim and that she was in serious need of immediate help. It was also clear from the officers themselves and the findings of the report that they did not understand the law and did not apply the law properly in Gabby's situation. Yes?
Can you explain what it means to file this notice of intent? In this circumstance, is a lawsuit sure to file, or are you waiting for a response before filing a lawsuit?
A notice of intent or a notice of claim is required by the statute in order to bring a case against the government in Utah. That is a precursor to being able to file a lawsuit. That typically happens a year before, before the year anniversary of a loss. In this case, the Gabby's interaction with Moab City Police Department was on August 12th, 2021, and unfortunately the time of her actual death is unknown, but we're filing that notice now to comply with that requirement. The government can reply or not reply, and then after a time period, the plaintiff is allowed to go ahead with making their claim by filing the lawsuit.
What is that time period?
Well, it depends on whether or not the government responds, but they have 60 days to respond. If they deny the claim earlier, then the time for filing begins earlier.
Is there any evidence known that Moab Police has not released or been brought forward that you guys are aware of?
I'm not going to comment on more information in terms of the evidence, but the FBI has extensive information that was collected throughout the search for Gabby that has not yet been released, although their investigation has been deemed to be completed. Any others? Okay.
Okay, thank you, Brian. And Dick Baldwin, at the end there, came in, and he's the representative from the Zimmerman Boer law firm. We're glad you're here this morning. Now, if you'd like to ask for just a couple of minutes any questions from the family about why they're bringing this lawsuit and what their feelings are, please feel free to address your questions to anyone on the screen there. Yes?
Just for Natalie, I noticed that you're very emotional this morning. What's going through your head? What's kind of the situation you're feeling right now? Nicole, sorry, thank you.
That's okay. This is just bringing back a lot of pain. Sorry. We just want to help people. We're going to do whatever we can. And that's why we're here.
Yes, go ahead.
Another one for you, Nicole. You and the Gabby Petito Foundation have spent almost the last year raising awareness of domestic violence and for missing persons. Do you have any message today for people who are victims of these abusive relationships?
About just reach out when you can and get the help that you need. You're better than that, and you can get out. Just do it safely. Reach out to someone that you trust. I don't know, I'm sorry guys, I'm just so emotional today. I don't know if anybody else wants to help me answer that.
There's a ton of resources out there. We've partnered with the National Domestic Victims Hotline through our foundation. They do amazing work, as well as many other organizations out there. There's a ton of people out there that are willing to help. We're there trying to help. It's anonymous. Get the help you need, do it quickly, do it safely, do it the right way, reach out to the experts. So you can get the help, you get yourself into a safe place. That is our goal.
People care. We care. There are people that care, and everyone out there should know that there are people that will do whatever we can to help. And that's it. You know, people care, and just know it, and reach out. We'll be there.
Yes, back there.
Yeah, I got a question for either parent, but did you feel like things were stacked against you from the very beginning? From law enforcement to Brian, Florida, everything. Wrap it up.
What I know is that she's not here. Yeah, so no, I'm not going to answer that, to be honest with you. It's not about them right now.
Yes, go ahead.
So I know you're not supposed to comment on things in the lawsuit, but I'm assuming that you have seen the video of the interaction in Moab. And is there anything you can tell me about how you felt watching that and just what you wish you could have done, or any feelings associated with that?
I think that I've said this many times. Watching it is very painful, and I wanted to jump to the screen and rescue her. That's all I can really say about that.
Okay, let's take one more question out there. Yes, at the back.
Yeah, what do you want us, the public to remember, Gabby? How do you want us to remember?
I love that question. Go ahead, Joe.
Use her story, learn from it. There's so much you can take from it. Her legacy is to help people, that don't see a way out, and there are. And use her as the light that she was to us, and proper planning and safety, and there's people that care. Just start. You're worth it.
Thank you.
I would like to add
Go
a
ahead.
little bit on that.
Yes, go ahead.
As parents, we can never fully wrap our heads around the entire situation and what happened. But all we could hope is that Gabby's legacy and her memory will be a positive one. That through our tragedy and all the heartache that we go through daily, there's not a day that goes by that we're not talking about her, thinking about her. But her legacy to be one that is long-lasting and positive and helps people. And people see her and they recognize her and can possibly compare maybe what they're going through in their life and see it and make a positive change in their life to be better so it doesn't happen to them. So they're not in the same place that we are right now.
Thank you, Gabby's parents, for being available today via Zoom. We appreciate your presence here. We're honored to file this lawsuit on your behalf and try to bring about justice and meaning in this situation and help others recognize the danger signs and help others see how they can escape from situations that are difficult and tragic. Now, thank you, members of the press, for being here today. We appreciate your presence. In the coming months, we'll be filing a complaint. The Petitos will be in Utah at that time so that you can have freer access to them. And we will let you know in a couple of months when we're filing that legal document. Thank you for being here.